Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to the April 9th Utilities Committee meeting. My name is Jay Rosencamp, City Council. Ask everybody who identify themselves.
Eric Warner, City Council, 4.
Heidi Benton, City Council, 5.
Producer Mayor Rob Pacansu. No, don't turn that on.
Business Ryan, for the first director. Nick Bond, Community Development Director.
And Charlotte Archer, City Attorney.
And we have Jackie Brown online. We have a published agenda. Does anybody want to make any changes to the agenda? Additions?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Jackie.
Well, the first item is the ordinance amending POMC Title 13 Public Utilities. And Charlie has been working on that. So Charlie, would you like to discuss that? I sent it out to the committee earlier today.
So I don't know if you've all had an opportunity to look at it, and I'm sitting here because I think this is the right thing. But the purpose of this ordinance is to do two things. One, to clean up some technical issues with the original ordinance that adopted the stormwater CFCs. There was a language issue essentially that redressed in the red lines. And then the second purpose is in the course of that activity, the course of auditing the previous ordinance, we discovered that the city's policy or the city's pricing scheme or the structure, the rate structure that we were utilizing was not reflective of the calculation methodology that we utilized to determine the impact on or the volume of impervious surface that necessitates or sets the base rate for stormwater. And in evaluating our current model, which our current model is essentially a base rate for single family residential and then a base rate time with a multiplier for duplex, triplex, single family ADU, and then multifamily. Essentially the rate should be based upon ISU meeting, I believe it's, Nick, is our rate of 3,000 square feet, do you recall, or 2,000?
3,000 is an ISU.
3,000, thank you. So what that means is we determined that one charge reflects 3,000 square feet of impervious surface, which is the impervious surface is what dictates the fire, but what dictates the impact on our stormwater system and the creation of an impact. Thus, that's the rate. Duplexes, triplexes, single family homes with an ADU do not necessarily automatically have a multiplying impact. They likely are under that 3,000 square foot. So they likely are one ISU. But our structure was such that they were getting multiplying rates. They were paying the ISU rate times occupancy. And that model tends to not be the model utilized by most of the public agencies. If County is included. Rather, they have a one base rate for single family residential, and then everybody else is measured so that you actually get what amount of ISU they have based on what amount of impervious surface they have. So this cleanup ordinance adds that cleanup element to this as well. And it was triggered when we went to apply the CFC chart, the new CFC chart that was adopted last year, using the existing rate schedule for the base rate. They weren't compatible because the CFC was then going to be multiplied in the same way, which did not make sense. It would be based exclusively on the measurable and impervious surface. So this will actually likely result in a reduction in the rate that some potentially a few property owners pay, because again, there's a potential, it's not proven, but the duplexes and triplexes are not necessarily having a higher impervious surface or higher impact. So this ordinance does both of those things. One, it cleans up the CFC charge so that it's just one CFC charge based on your ISU, and then it clarifies the methodology utilized for measuring ISU, such that it will now be measured based on the square footage. And that will represent a burden on staff to do that measurement work, but public works staff have identified a staff member that will be performing that task. And also using assistance from finance, to determine that the quantity of properties that will impact is relatively small. You do not have very many of these impact. So, I think that I'm happy to take any questions.
This is the-
Kind of over.
This is a residential conversation, not commercial,
Correct.
strictly residential,
Commercial has always been
always mentioned.
correct, yeah.
So since we delayed our fees, till July first, I believe, June first, will we be able to, and maybe this is a question for Dennis, for finance, will we be able to have those updated, done by that, so that everybody will have the correct number in their bill?
Yes, so we started training today, the employee, it's a very quick training, about a half hour, so that's done, and they're gonna start measuring these properties tomorrow. There's only about 100 of them that we show.
That's not, it's housing property, so about 100%. Okay, so, okay, that's a good thing, we like that.
Yeah, that and then also the outreach we talked about, that was one of the reasons for the thing, and ensuring that there's mailers including.
When do we expect?
Jackie, you're sharing the wrong screen.
And in terms of the outreach, I just wanted to mention that, a lot of the outreach is to the development community, when we have new permits will be issued and we have to calculate the fee. When we went to calculate all the fees and figure this out, this is where we caught some of this information. And so we want to give the developers, notice that if you don't pick up your permits by June first, that this new fee is going to be added to your permits and give them time to comply. So our target right now is to adopt this, I believe, in 2 weeks at the 23rd meeting, which then gives us a full, we'll immediately then post something to our website, reach out to the Home Builders Association to let them know that if you don't pick up permits by June first, that this fee is going to be added to your permit at that time.
When can we expect the mailers to be sent out?
So that's the rate side, so.
So I met with finance today, they asked the same question, so we are finalizing a promotion, a flyer. We were shared the county, and that was a great example, so it's a great template that we're going to create something similar. Already in the first draft, so by the end of next week, we should have something ready to go.
I can see some questions coming, so I was getting curious, like, when to expect.
Yeah,
Yes, within the next week, I would say.
but the mailer will not go out until council approves the change, right? So that's the end of this month, so then the mailer will be in the next bill.
Okay.
So hopefully it will line up, the billing cycle will line up, or the mailing cycle, that's the goal.
And then, so just a little question too, because I know with your water fee, that is how much gallons of water you use in your home. And then for the stormwater, that is more of your property and how much you're using that way.
How much of an impact you have on the system, based on the impervious surface on your property, which would include your home, your driveway, any of those impervious.
Okay.
Anything that
See
doesn't,
that?
anything that doesn't infiltrate in the ground,
Mhm.
then that's the square footage that they're measuring off of. Basically, your roof, your driveways, you have a shop, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so it should be, I think it seems like it should be a pretty big notice. I mean, you know, an impact on people.
Well, I think it'll be
I
a
mean-
small impact on people just because of, the grouping that we were sort of using as multiplier for, which is just duplexes, triplexes.
Right.
Well, not, they've always been
Yeah.
measured, duplexes, triplexes. So, only that small area, or only that small grouping, less than 100 properties was,
Okay.
was getting under. And now we're just moving back to a measurement system, that's actually based on the impervious surface. So I think it's a positive change.
Yes, yes, I mean, I agree with that when I said impact, that's why.
Right.
Yeah,
Basically,
For some reason, I think you have to make it.
I know.
That's
pretty much every residential is the same.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of houses that are being built that are well over 3,000 square feet, so people with big houses are paying a single ISU even though they are actually more than an ISU.
That's what I'm
We,
saying,
yeah,
right?
we've chosen to treat all single family homes the same, but once you're into the duplex, triplex or above category, you do the measurement. And I believe finance said we have about 100 accounts where we're gonna have to do measurements, and in most cases, using GIS, we're gonna know very clearly, are you under or over 3,000? And maybe a handful of them are gonna be close enough that we need to go into the permit file and look at previously submitted plans and say, how large was the roof on this house? But I think it's gonna be pretty easy for us to to figure out what the rate is for those 100 accounts. And then with all new development, we will do that calculation at the time we issue a building permit, and so we'll look at the impervious surface, we'll report to finance, they'll charge the correct number of CFCs, and then that will go into the rate system, and they'll start paying the monthly rate, when the building permit is complete.
Everybody good?
And then there's one other item, so you mentioned the inspection fee, we had previously adopted an inspection fee for stormwater CFCs for inspecting the physical connection like we do with water and sewer, but in a lot of cases, there isn't a physical connection, and we do the inspections as part of the LDAP permit. And so so we just got rid of that $110 or $170 fee.
Yeah, that's one of the other code modifications in this ordinance, it's striking the inspection fee, it's not, it would be duplicative of the inspection action. Which is covered by the law.
Next item, water quality reports. First the city of Port Orchard, then McCormick Woods.
Jackie there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. My computer is just not cooperating.
You ready for those water quality reports?
Yeah, are you seeing my screen?
No,
No,
we're getting there.
Okay, so the first one is, we have, every year, we have to do a water quality report, or what's referred to by the State Department of Health as a Consumer Confidence Report, or CCR. And we have to have that out and in people's hands by July 1st every year. So I try to always be several months in advance of that, just in case we have some kind of a problem. We have two separate water systems, so we have two separate water quality reports. There is mandatory language, and you'll notice are you seeing the water quality report now?
yes,
Okay, so if you notice that the language, all of the language is the same on both of them, until we get to page 3, which is the actual water quality data. And this is different based on the sampling and the results of sampling from the two different water systems. All of this language on pages 1 and 2 is required language, except for the specifics about where our water comes from and so on and so forth. We are required we can do electronic delivery of this. So if you look at your bills for the months of the bills that go out at the end of April and the end of May, there should be URLs on there, one linking to the Port Orchard one and one linking to the McCormick one. And then we have to make our best efforts to get them into the hands of consumers and not just customers. The difference being, of course, customers pay a bill. Consumers drink our water but may not pay a bill. For instance, units within an apartment complex where they have a master bill. So we do print them, about 500 of them or so, and hand them out to the managers of the apartment complexes. The idea being that when people pay their rent, they can get a water quality report. And we also keep them in our lobby every year. And once in a while, somebody will call and ask for one. So those are the water quality reports for 2023. We have no exceedances. So does anybody have any questions about either one of them?
Jackie J, I looked through them, and I was very pleased to see, we didn't have any violations.
No.
And that was really good news. So I thought the data was good. Do we post it? And I didn't look. So do we post them for a period of time on our website?
They're there always. They're there. The URL is there because it takes you to our website to where the water quality report is kept. And then it stays there until the next year when I replace it, or Janine replaces it for me with the most recent one.
I know this is a kind of a sideways question, but when will we see what is the overall plan for the merging of the two systems?
I'm sorry, what's the what?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
It's an intertime. We don't have any plans at this time and in the immediate future. But we've got to build, how many millions is that pipe that the intertime between the two systems, the project?
Oh, I think it was 4 million, I think.
Yeah, I remember that. It's down the road. I was just curious. My other question would be, and this is kind of a reach, Mayor, and I hadn't thought about it until now, because we do receive water from the Bremerton, you know, is there any requirement on us to have their report?
That's a Jackie question.
Jackie?
Did you follow that question? Since we receive water from Bremerton, is there any requirement for us to report on the water we're receiving from Bremerton?
It's a gray area, to tell you the truth. The thing is that when we are a downstream system, which is what the state refers to that as, then yes, we do get the water quality reports. We're supposed to have those by the 1st of April from the upstreams or supplying system. But because our system is combined and they're not really delivering water to us, we're not buying water from them. What we're doing is using a combined system. So as I said, it's a gray area. And knowing the city had, when I started here in 2019, the city had never looked at it as though we were buying water from Bremerton. And knowing that we were going down the path of combining the systems and disconnecting from the city of Bremerton and having them only as an emergency source, at that time, Mark Dorsey and I discussed it and decided that it was probably not worth the staff time that it would take to get that changed, thinking that we were going to be changed off of Bremerton water within about 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so, my follow-up question, if I could, is when we sample our water, that's, for lack of better words, mixed with Bremerton's water.
Yeah.
So we do in a way have a data, overall water quality.
Well, it's more complicated than that.
Yeah, that's it.
Right now, just the water system, Bremerton and ours, it's kind of one and the same.
Right.
And Jackie, when do we flip the switch, or have we, to separate the two systems?
Well, we have to have Foster complete before we can just separate the systems.
Completely separate the two systems, so it's complicated, and we have a reservoir, they have a reservoir, and water comes from our wells and from their wells. And so it's complicated.
But water.
You know, and the other part of the answer too is that it depends on what we're sampling for, because most of the samples, if you can see my screen, most of the samples up here are all taken from the source. So that is our water. Samples are the lead and copper, or the coliform samples are distribution samples, and that is a combined system. That's one of the reasons that this is kind of the most important thing right here, as far as this report is, and that's one of the reasons that we made the decision not to use Bremerton's numbers, because they have surface water and it's a whole different animal.
Wasn't a yes or no answer. It's complicated, and in the long term, we build an intertie, and we bring our new wells online. Well 11 is part of that equation to create, which is under construction right now, to create more water on our side of the equation. And we're not really purchasing water from Bremerton. How many more years do we have on that agreement, Jackie, for the reservoir?
The agreement actually was intended to be over with in 2023, but it says that it's just extended until as long as necessary. But right now we had $804,000 is what the tank, the property, and the water main were valued at, that Bremerton is getting value from us, and we will turn over when we're able to separate. Right now we have, in 5 years, we have only used up about half of that 804,000 in the amount of water that we've purchased from Bremerton.
So we had a shared reservoir that was ours, and we was through an interlocal agreement, built a new reservoir, and we sold Bremerton, so we could separate the two systems. So we each have our own reservoir, and we use Bremerton water in the summertime to augment our system. And so we're not trading dollars, but they're getting that reservoir. They bought it from us for 800,000 and change, and it's coming from water. We get water from Bremerton, and it comes off that bill, and we're about halfway done with that. And it was 5 years we've used $400,000 roughly.
So then Sinclair,
That's their water system.
so we,
Yeah, anything on the old north side of Old Clifton
Yes.
is Bremerton's service area. The south side of Old Clifton is our service area.
Okay, so they're city property where they're building right now. And it's.
In Bremerton, it's in the city of Bremerton, and it's,
Sinclair Heights.
yeah.
That would be their
And
water.
I think we provide the sewer though, and
No, not for Sinclair Ridge.
not.
Sinclair Ridge is Bremerton Water, Bremerton Sewer. McCormick Village is Bremerton Water City Sewer.
Okay,
It's a patchwork.
yeah.
When Foster is decided
Mm-hmm.
in a positive way, when we stop our contract with Burlington and go,
When
we
we,
can pull enough water.
yes, well, there's two different ways we could get it. Foster is the ultimate solution.
Right.
There's three wells affected by Foster. 9, 11, 12, and 13. 11's being developed right now, but in a manner that it's capable of, we have some water rights for it, and it's capable of pumping more, but we can only pump what we have water rights for. So it's being developed with a variable speed pump that when we get the water rights, we just flip the dial and we get more water. So so just because, you know, if tomorrow, or let's say next week, Foster got some, okay, we still have to build a pump house and a treatment system at 13's to drill. But you still need a pump house and a treatment system and some pipes. And 12, which is a McCormick, is only a pilot. We know the water's there, we tested the water, but and it's being done through an agreement with McCormick Communities. They will develop that well for us, and they get credits for that in the connection charges. So that answer your question.
Yeah, we just need Foster again.
We need Foster. Yes, we do.
How many homes feed off of the Bremerton water system?
No, they only turn, okay. The water comes into our reservoir, we serve our, okay,
Right.
and I mean, and Jackie and Dennis, I believe most of the year we have enough of our water. It's in the summer months that we're buying water from Bremerton.
Burlington doesn't have fluoride, we have fluoride, and once they come together, they all get fluoride.
No, we don't have fluoride in the McCormick Woods system, only in,
So we don't have fluoride in McCormick because of.
Because we get water from Bremerton.
Right.
That is correct. And there will be a policy decision. So, or if no policy decision is made,
They would.
then McCormick would get more. Because we've separated the two systems. But, or a policy directive would be made and none of the city fluoride, but yeah, half the city gets fluoride, or 2/3 doesn't, a third doesn't.
And I'd like to talk about that, but it's down here for future, about
And it's years away.
to not have fluoride.
Yeah, well,
No, she'd like, city water.
Yeah, city water.
Awesome.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Thank you very much, Jackie. Marines Pump Station update.
I'll give Dennis. Next, you know, what, we're gonna be here, I'll make sure we have enough, we're just on our chairs right now.
I'd like to, I can sit if you're.
Right there.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be there, have to be on the camera.
be on the camera. All right, well, it's not camera.
I said it over.
So the restoration work at McCormick was completed last week. It was a huge, it was Badminton first, so what happened, just to give some background. Our pipe was 18-inch pressure sewer pipe, and it was in the ground where it was supposed to be in the ground. It was not built as it was depicted in the 1980s as built. So what they found is when they uncovered it for the new that they're digging out there was an unrestrained joints, it was a bell joint, and then a monolithic poured in place thrust block. And concrete was cheap 45 years ago, so there was a lot. So originally we looked at doing pumping. We had crews out in the middle of the night to take flows, and it wasn't feasible, and we weren't able to get enough trucks to pump this. So our staff started talking about the idea of evaluating the hot tap situation. That's when they drill into the line tap, they put a bypass in, they shut it down. And it was pouring that tap. It was gonna work, our engineer liked it, the contractor liked it. Then we worked with the Department of Ecology and found out the part was not made in America. So this project, because the federal dollars involved, there's a made in America for the still. So we met, it was about a week and a half ago, the mayor, myself, staff, we met with the team from the Department of Ecology. They realized it was indeed an emergency because it wasn't installed and it's supporting all the city sewer. It wasn't installed properly. They also declared an emergency. They appealed our case to the EPA, and the EPA allowed us to use that part as de minimis. And so it was, we're allowed to leave it there and not have to remove it and pay for that work twice. So that's a big win. So the next steps are, there is parts in the bypass that were in the original contract for this project. So we are, tonight you'll see authorization of up to $300,000 not to exceed. That number is going to come down because we're going to continue to negotiate with the contractor, with our engineer of record that's going to be reviewing the work that's already been done. That's part of the contract. And so we're sharpening our pencils. So that's it in a quick nutshell.
So from a schedule standpoint, how much did this cost us in delay?
We lost about a week and a half. And there was an evaluation period. We came in, middle of the night. We have a lot of I&I in our sanitary system. When it was raining outside, we were seeing double the flows. So we lost about, I'd say 7 or 8 working days. There's a lot of value engineering with our staff. Our engineer was evaluating it. I mean, we're trying to come up with a fix.
Is the I coming through the structures, the pipe?
You know, there's a lot of old infrastructure. That's something we talked about during our team meeting this morning, is to evaluate our I&I and try to minimize that.
But if you TV the lines, you can see if it's coming through, right? The pipes versus with the structure, you can seal those.
Yeah, there's some work to be done as far as the source. That's something we talked about targeting this year, so.
Oh,
Yeah, we want to, right, I mean, what we pay for everything that goes to the treatment plant, so we want to cut that down.
Yeah.
I'm happy to answer any questions. That was a lot of.
We're still looking right now.
It is pumping, they are back to work. It was really all hands on deck. I mean, Ecology came out that day. They all came up from all over the state to meet. There was about 4 or 5 in their team. So they valued the importance of it.
So stay happy.
Yes, and they recorded that it was considered de minimis, and so we're tracking and we're gonna track how
It's
that.
really is one hot tap that is
Correct.
outside of US made.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's in the manhole, so, yeah, so, and you know, that's our goal, it was our goal, but we were looking at 5 to 6 weeks, best case scenario, to wait for an American made. And I mean, at that point, the contractor would have demobilized off the project, and then they would have charged us pretty steeply. Mobilization can be 10% of the cost of the project, so
Not over $1 million.
it could have been real steep.
Glad it worked out this way.
Yeah, it's not the great news, but really proud of our team. I mean, our team came up with the solution to go that route, so.
I'm sure we'll have more challenges for the team.
Yeah, this was good practice, so,
Thanks.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Last thing we had was,
Before we get to a really huge one, is about meeting time.
is, utility facility tour, April 18th
At 8:30 a.m. I would not be able to make that. I can make an afternoon tour, but I can't make a morning tour.
Yeah.
We can certainly pivot if it's better for you guys.
Okay, Eric can't do days.
Would you like to do a tour?
Can you do late?
I honestly don't need to.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, well, but,
Okay.
Okay.
Can we do an afternoon tour on the 18th?
At what
That's next Thursday.
Oh, next. Yeah, I think I could do next Thursday.
and what time would you like that to be?
How long are you planning on a tour?
Well, we kind of looked at, possibly we kind of had a route picked out and we were thinking probably, about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
What would work for you, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock?
I could do a little earlier, 1 o'clock, I think would be good. Or is that what for you?
I'm just gonna interject you, so staff be driving, so I mean, at 1 o'clock would be great if we do 1 o'clock.
We do 1:30.
Okay,
1:30 it is, meet here.
1:30, yeah, on the east side of the building there, I'll have a bus there to pick you up,
okay,
or a van, I mean.
13:30, 1:30, on the 18th.
Yes, okay.
Awesome.
I have a question. Heidi, you had said earlier that you wanted to talk about fluoride and because it was listed under future agenda items. Those
Yeah.
things are down there as placeholders so that we don't lose track of, hey, there's a.
I have it on the list now.
Okay, so what I was gonna say was if you want it brought up onto an actual agenda item, just let me know that before the meeting and I can bring it up.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I said it.
down there.
Okay. Oh, I thought I brought it up last time to talk about it this time, but okay, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, no, I can put it on the agenda and give you some information, whatever information you want about it. I mean, you can talk about it, absolutely. I just didn't know if you wanted some more information to be distributed with the agenda or something.
Oh, yeah, I do have a question on how much does the city, how much does it cost the city to put fluoride in our water?
Well, the cost of the chemical itself, we paid in 2023, we paid just under $9,000 for the chemical itself. Now, the cost of the labor is really where the cost comes in. Because we have not only the equipment to maintain, but we are required by the state to do testing at least 5 days a week to monitor the fluoride levels. So that means that we have people doing those tests every day, every working day of the week. And that it's probably about, I'm gonna say between 20 to 30 minutes per day to do those tests. So I don't have payroll figures to give you a total cost of the amount that it costs us to fluoridate. But knowing the chemical costs just under 9,000, and then it's a half an hour of staff time each workday.
So about 125 hours.
per year in labor.
And is that 9,000 a year for the fluoride?
That's how much we paid in 2023 was 9,000, just under 9,000.
About 125 hours labor, 9,000 a year.
So it's quite expensive. And so I've been doing research on it and I'm gonna get more and I brought some stuff for people to look at. And I know Bremerton doesn't put fluoride in their water. And I have facts too that fluoride doesn't make your teeth stronger by ingesting it and drinking it. And it's actually harmful for your body. Now I know you have this, the percentage that says it doesn't, but I also have, facts here that it's not good for us. So, and I know it's a people's choice and that vote on it, but I would really like to start pursuing this more and getting this out. And plus, we would save a lot of money if we don't put that into our city, the fluoride. But I would like just to research it more and get it out there too for the people and let them have the choice if we want to fluorinate our water or not.
Well, that would actually be through this.
Just a little bit of history is that this was not in Bremerton. There was actually a vote of the people on a ballot whether or not to fluoridate, and they voted not to fluoridate, and so that is out of their council's hands. This fluoridation in Port Orchard was done by a council action, so it only takes a council action to undo it because it was not done by a vote of the people. It certainly could be set to a vote of the people, but that's not the way it was enacted to start with. The other thing about fluoride is fluoridation was originally introduced into drinking water for children for children that did not have access to dental care. And we all know that that's no longer as prevalent as it was in the past, but it's certainly up to you. I have my own personal opinion about fluoridation, which I won't share, but it has no bearing. I've managed systems both with fluoridation and without, has no bearing on what I do. Other than it is a harmful chemical in the amounts that the guys have to handle, because they're handling bags of dry fluoride. So as far as the safety factor, I just soon see it go away, but that's just on the safety side, nothing to do with the medical or dental side.
Right, and actually fluoride even for younger kids in this report here, it's not even good for young kids. And with a lot of, the kids are brushing teeth, they swallow toothpaste, and even on a thing of toothpaste, do not swallow. And I mean, I just feel like it's not good for the body.
Well, if you want to bring some more information in
Yeah.
on that, then we can have this as a topic at one of our next meetings, but
Yeah,
because there's also information from CDC supporting fluoride in the water, so it's not.
yeah, we can get both, yeah.
Yeah,
But
and it's
not-
something, if you want to bring that up to the council, if we decide we want to take it further to the council, in a work study, that would be fine, but that would be a decision made by this committee.
Yes,
So probably 12 to 14 years when early on when I got on the city council, this was deliberated heavily and both sides. And I know we should get information from public health. We should, from, and other, because there's facts on both sides of this issue. So I think, and we went through a very elaborate and in-depth process, many years ago. And there's nothing wrong with doing that process again, but I think we need, there's, our public health officer, at Public Health too, probably has get the information
Yeah.
and opinions on
and
it.
it was a big thing, especially back in the 50s, but over time, it's actually a toxic that does not need to be in our drinking water. It doesn't make it any better. And so, like you say, it's on both sides.
Yeah, it was very polarizing when we discussed it last time too.
Right, well, in my understanding that Bremerton paid for all this major stuff for it, and then the people, it was kind of a waste of the taxpayer dollars because they said, no, we don't want this. And so, it would be really interesting to see how much we can save by not doing fluoride in our water for the taxpayers.
Nice.
But you-
9,000 plus 25.
Yeah, which is-
Labor hours.
Is a lot.
Maybe 55, $80 an hour.
You're talking about.
But every single
Talking
day.
about,
No, that's a year.
It's a year,
Mhm,
so
you're talking about 17.
$17,000 total.
He just did the math.
mhm. Yeah, but still, that's
It's not that,
$17,000.
If you'd like to put
On for next month's meeting,
Mhm.
then we'll put it
Oh,
on for
yeah,
next.
no, that'd be.
And we need to give 30-day notice for,
what you're just,
We're totally. We're gonna, that's it.
Next.
you can, I think you should get factual information from stakeholders and this.
Yeah.
We
And,
have to do our due diligence.
It's first as a committee,
And I have this.
And then we recommend the per council.
I like that, because this is not an emergency where we need to take it.
No, but it's something
So
I would like to, yeah.
Yeah.
bring that, yeah.
I'll reach out to Dr. Barlow, it gets up.
Oh, we do this, thank you. Okay.
Cool. So we brought that forward, and moved that up to next time. And so our next meeting, so 5 o'clock on Tuesday is kind of, is there a time that we would like to meet differently, or is 5 o'clock fine?
I actually like the same, I like to kill on Monday, so if it's possible to piggyback on city council or.
I can do that here on that too, yeah.
I can scare, we need about, we can configure this differently and we can all get around the table. It was just this spur of the moment. And all these tables are being, because of our construction, these are people's desks right now, and they're tucked away everywhere.
It's not that, Mayor, it was, when I walked in here, I thought there was a little bit of a vibe. Meeting at 5 o'clock, everybody's happy with it, I'm good with it too.
Yeah.
5 o'clock stands, is everybody good with it? Jackie?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Great, everybody sitting here nodding yes, at 5 o'clock it is, on the second Tuesday of next month. And
And Dennis can work with Brandy and Janine to make sure this room gets set up for you guys. And after we're done with construction, and so finance is in the conference.
no,
Just let me finish here.
Yep.
So when finance typically meets in this back room, but it's a conference room, so that's really set up very nicely to do a small committee meeting in there. We don't have to move tables and mess with any of this stuff. So when we're done with the remodel, that room is ideal.
so I can do with
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else to go to the order?
Can I ask a question? Are you
Sure.
going, do you plan on having a utility committee meeting monthly because that is not, we'd had them before when some issues were coming forward that we wanted to get the utility committee to be apprised of before it went to council or wanted you to look at something. So I mean, I can find a topic to talk about every month, but if you know,
Well, I think we already have a topic for next time, plus with 2 new members on the committee, it's been also informational
okay,
for updates, so I would prefer that we do one next month, then we can see from there, okay?
what your agenda items is, and no sense to meet if you don't have to meet for.
Well, our first thing is gonna be about fluoride,
Yeah.
and then we'll see what comes up after our tour next week.
okay, is there any specific information you'd like me to find for you about fluoride?
I have a packet right here that talks a whole bunch about it, but yeah, any information, you bet.
But I,
And I'm gonna look at some more stuff too.
If you have any case studies that,
Last time we found some pros and cons sheets that were impartial, you know, because there's very polarized positions on it, but we got some
I was gonna go with CDC and the state.
Department of Health.
The state Department of Health.
I have,
those-
I took a course in the 80s, because I worked then at a water system that fluoridated at Manchester Water. And so I put the entire staff through a course and I have that course from the CDC that has a lot of information in it directly from them that is supposedly impartial, so.
And I'll reach out to Dr. Morrow, I'll see if he has an opinion one way or the other.
Okay,
Because he's our county health officer.
anything else, we're gonna do order. All right, meeting's adjourned, thanks very much, Jackie.
Yes, thank you, sorry for the technical.
you know, thanks.
We delivered this